crowned the Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Now entering the game for Philly Pressbox Radio, Bill Furman and Jim Chet Chesko.
It's Tuesday, November 26, 2024. Welcome to the Philly Pressbox Radio Roundtable Thanksgiving Show, brought to you by the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, PA, and Cavs Philly Tailgates. I'm Bill Furman. I'll be your host tonight, along with my partner, Jim Chet Chesko. And Chet, the Eagles, wow, dominated the Rams from start to finish on Sunday night. Washington loses. Eagles are 3 games ahead in the loss column in the East. Next up, a tough one against the Ravens. The Flyers trying to work their way through the standings, splitting games this week before last night. Played great for a half of the game, not so great for the other half of the game, losing a shootout. What are you going to do? The Sixers, 20% of the games in the book. Joel Embiid and Paul George, uncertain every night. Not going to play again tomorrow. Are already 10-plus games behind the Celtics, and we only played 16 games. College football coming down to rivalry weekend. Penn State still ranked number 4 in the country. They're not going to make the Big Ten championship yet, but they should be hosting a playoff game with that 11, if they win, 11-1 record. A lot can still happen. And adding some beer talk tonight. We have plenty to talk about in Philly sports.
Bill, I know you love all the college football drama. Very exciting win for Penn State last Saturday. We all thoroughly enjoyed that Eagles beatdown of the Rams on Sunday night in L.A. And, Bill, if you want to drop the Sixers from the agenda this week, I'm fine with that. They're putting me over the edge.
Hey, they're your boys. They're 16 games in, and you've already jumped completely off of that bandwagon.
Killing me. They're killing me, Bill.
Yeah, well, good reason. I just saw, speaking of that real quick, we'll get to this, but I just saw Nick Nurse on the news. He looks like a lost soul.
Well, I feel badly for the guy. You know, he's got to answer to everybody because Daryl Morey's in hiding somewhere. Nobody else wants to talk about the mess that is the 76ers. We will sneak a couple of minutes about that ugly franchise, but we're talking football first, Bill.
Yeah, we are. We have a couple great guests tonight, actually, and author Joe Zagorski. He's making a return visit. And a first-timer to Philly Pressbox Radio, Andrew Colligan of Conshohocken Brewing. He's going to talk some beer with us.
Well, we had Joe on in early September because he authored a biography of our pal, former Eagle safety Bill Bradley. We had them on together, in fact. However, well, Bill, we love Bill, but he's a talker. And so we didn't get to hear nearly enough from Joe. We wanted to remedy that with a return visit from him this week. And regarding Andrew, well, I'm not sure if you know this, Bill, but I'm a beer guy, love beer. And this guy is a wealth of knowledge about my favorite liquid and a super guy in general. So I figured he'd be loads of fun to have on our show as we approach the holiday season.
Sounds good. So let's get to it. Let's welcome Joe Zagorski back to Philly Pressbox Radio. Joe, welcome back.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. I'm glad to be back. Hope you guys all are, before I forget, hope you both have a great and safe and happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
Thank you, Joe. Welcome back, my friend. We will talk lots about the 1970s NFL because you wrote a book about the 1970s pro football. You also do a Facebook page related to that. But let's talk a little current day NFL first. And let's start with this. How much do you get to see of the Eagles these days? You're in Tennessee. And what are your impressions of the 9-2 Birds?
Well, I tell you, you get to see pretty much if you have the NFL television packages. And I can tell you, I don't know why the New York Giants let go of Saquon Barkley because premium running backs in the NFL throughout time are hard to come by. And when you get one who's as good as he is, you do everything you can to keep him. Now, I don't know why the Giants decided not to keep him, but their loss is Philly's gain. I will say one thing. Philadelphia's front office, they know what they're doing. They're movers and shakers. They don't stay stagnant. They make moves anything they can do to help their team win, they're going to do it. And that's the kind of front office that you need if you want to stay a winning franchise.
Yeah, you're right. And, I guess with Saquon, with the Giants, it just came down to money. And if they weren't willing to pony up and they didn't think he would go to the Eagles, and Howie Roseman and them guys jumped right on it. And as you say, Giants lost his Eagles game, that's for sure. But how about the domination of the offensive line and the defense, both? Just total control of that game against a pretty good Rams team with a real good passing game. They had nothing for the Eagles.
That pass rush of the Eagles was phenomenal. And defense wins championships. I hate to use so many cliches, but it's true. If you're going to hold a strong offensive team down to just a couple of touchdowns a game in this pass-happy league, you're going to be doing a lot. You're going to get a lot more W's. And I think Eagles fans have to be feeling pretty good right now about the state of their team.
Yeah, for sure. Bill and I will make our predictions later, but what's your sense about this Sunday? Big game in Baltimore, the Eagles and Ravens, a battle of the birds down there.
I think the Eagles win it, and I don't think it's going to be that close.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not people don't use my words because I've been wrong a lot. But I'm telling you, I think the Eagles are really getting better at the right time. I can see them playing Detroit in the conference championship game. And that's going to be must-see television if that happens. It's going to be a heck of a game.
Yeah, I guess we'll talk about this a little bit later, I think, but my big concern with this game, as well as any of them down the stretch here, I think to expect this team to finish 15-2 might be asking for a lot. You'd have to run the rest of the games. They're playing good enough, but this is a tough league, tough to win every week, and
you're not kidding. You had mentioned to me earlier about the book that I'm currently writing on former Hall of Fame Miami Dolphins offensive guard Larry Little. And I talked to him just a couple of weeks ago, and I said, Mr. Little, the Kansas City Chiefs look like they might actually, tie your undefeated record. And he said bluntly, no, they won't. and the very next day they lost.
Right.
So there you go. I mean, it is hard to win and run the table, the Dolphins are the only team that did it in 72. No other team's been able to, stay perfect. You're going to have maybe 2 or 3 lost teams fighting for the Super Bowl. I think there might be some dark horses, some teams that you don't really think about that might get close to it, but I don't see anybody really beating the Chiefs in the AFC. And I think the Eagles and the Lions will be the 2 top teams in the NFC. That's my take.
We may get back to current NFL talk a little bit later on, but when we had you on 3 months ago, Joe, we focused on your new Bill Bradley biography, of course. You got it right there. I had a hunch you might. It is available for sale these days. You can tell us where in just a bit. But about 8 years ago, you wrote and published a book called The NFL in the 1970s, which had the subtitle Pro Football's Most Important Decade. Why was it football's most important decade, Joe?
Well, I think for a lot of reasons. For one thing, we still talk about the 1970s in this day and age. If you're talking about the beginning of Monday Night Football, you're talking the 1970s. If you're talking famous events in the sport, like the Immaculate Reception, the Hail Mary Pass, Miami's undefeated season, you're talking the 1970s. And then, of course, the players. I mean, you can't say people's names like Joe Namath, Terry Bradshaw, Roger Staubach, O.J. Simpson. Those names are all from the 70s, and they're household names. We're talking 5 decades later. Joe Namath is still doing commercials.
Yeah.
He's always guaranteeing me something on those commercials, though. But there's many reasons why the 70s, I think, was the most important decade, and it was also important for a lot of other reasons too. There were 2 player strikes in the 1970s. We started to see heads butting between owners and players and management, and that's become much more ingrained as the years have gone by since then.
Yeah, and I think too, and you know this better than me, Joe, from the date standpoint, but the whole TV started to pick up then, and stars were being born, and you had that must-see TV, Monday Night Football being one of them, and I think the popularity really took off, which our fathers were started to watch, we were watching, and then our kids were watching, and boom, here we go, it's taken off. Yeah,
and this invention called YouTube, where people can go back and watch different. It's incredible. I mean, I've got friends that show their kids what they grew up watching, and they get hooked on it. So I'm surprised by the growth of that book that I wrote on the 1970s. It's sold more than any of the other books that I've written, and I'm very pleased with it, and I'm glad that people still. It's over 440 pages. So there's a lot to read there, and nobody can read it in one sitting. Trust me. So,
Joe, I'm going to put up a photo of the 1970s all-decade team, and if you look closely, you'll see that all but a handful of them are Hall of Famers. Look at the quarterbacks: Terry Bradshaw, Roger Staubach, and Ken Stabler. Running backs: O.J. Simpson, Walter Payton, Earl Campbell, Franco Harris. What a list of players right there, man. Who are some of your favorites?
Oh, wow. Well, of course, I have to say Bill Bradley because that's the law, and I've got to say no. But I like a lot of players who played in that era. I like a lot of unsung players that never got anywhere near the Hall of Fame. Tony Galbraith of the Saints had a phenomenal year catching passes out of the backfield. And, of course, a fellow, a Penn Stater, Lydell Mitchell. He was a great player who didn't get near the Hall of Fame, but he was a great teammate of Franco Harris. And, of course, Franco Harris had a great career with the Steelers. The Steelers were the team of the decade by far, and, they just were consistent winners. That 76 Steelers defense, 5 shutouts. Right. I mean, who's going to be able to equal that anytime again? I highly doubt it.
So many great names on that list. And, the thing about the player of a decade or team of a decade is, a guy like John Hanna, who might probably be right up there as possibly with the best lineman to ever play. Mm-hmm. But it depends on how his career fell, and that's why he ends up on second team because Larry Little played the whole decade possibly. So, yeah, such great names that cover both first and second team.
Oh, without a doubt. And, it's no slight to be a second team all-pro. The way I look at it, if you're on an all-pro team, you're on that team, regardless of if you start or not, And the same with the Pro Bowl. Larry Little told me, he was a backup Pro Bowl player for a couple of years, and then he became a starter, and then the guy that was the starter was his backup. So they were interchangeable almost.
Yeah.
If I put up a picture of some of the quarterbacks, it comes to me that if you wore number 12, you got a pretty good shot at being a great quarterback. That's right. Out of the 5 pictures right there. How about that?
Yeah. That group won a lot of games. I can tell you that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's look at the Super Bowls. You had Bradshaw won 4, Greasy won 2, Staubach won 2, Stabler won 1, and Frank Tarkenton didn't win any.
Lost 4, right?
But he's over 3. He was. Joe Kapp played.
Joe Kapp, right? Yep.
But still, all those guys are in the Hall of Fame, and they all have numbers that were very good, for that era. Now, that don't mix and match the 70s with 2024 because we're talking 2 different games. We're talking.
I was just going to lead to that, Joe. The things that Dick Butkus and some of those guys did on a daily basis in the NFL in the 70s, they would be suspended for in the 2020s, just for the regular hits that they made. That was all part of the game. The game has certainly changed.
Oh, well, if you can watch a game in this day and age, and you see, I think the other night with the Eagles, they hit the Rams quarterback, and it was like they got a penalty for that.
Right.
For that? I mean, so maybe I'm too in tune with the 70s to really realize it, but the game has changed so much. There's 17 games now, as opposed to there were 14 games at the start of the 1970s.
Right.
And it was a running game. The rules were different. You didn't have this until 1978 when the passing rules changed and you could throw the ball more without getting, massacred. A friend of mine who played for the Atlanta Falcons, Ken Burrow, told me one time in 74, he caught a touchdown pass against Mel Blount of the Steelers. And he said he jumped up for the ball, and by the time he landed on the ground, he felt like he was in a fight. I mean, so it's changed so much since then.
Hey, how'd you end up getting Rocky Bleier to write the foreword?
Oh, it's a long story, but I'll shorten it for you. I figured I wanted to get somebody who played most of the decade and who was, intelligent enough to write about that decade. And I first tried Roger Staubach, but his secretary got back to me and she told me that he was too busy. And then I tried Fran Tarkenton, and his secretary got back to me and said he was too busy. Then I tried Brent Musburger, CBS Sports, and I didn't hear back from him. And then I asked Rocky Bleier, and he said, yeah, sure, I'll write it. About 2 days after Rocky said yes, Brent Musburger calls me back. And he says, oh, I'm sorry I didn't get back in touch with you. And I said, well, I'm sorry, Mr. Musburger, but I already told Rocky Bleier that he could, write the foreword. And he goes, oh, that's a good choice. He's a good guy, And I said, okay. Well, at least I got a chance to talk to Brent Musburger for a few minutes. So.
Hey, Joe, one final question for me back from the 70s, and I'm biased here. And anybody that watches our show knows that Bill Bergey is my favorite Eagle of all time.
Wow.
How does Bill Bergey fit into the 70s as far as – I always thought because the Eagles stunk so bad that he was overlooked a lot, that if he were playing in that Jack Lambert spot, you'd be writing books about Bill Bergey.
I think Bill Bergey's been dealt a severe disservice by the NFL. He should have had a gold jacket, Hall of Fame jacket decades ago. You look at what he's been able to do when the Eagles were a bad team and how he was blocked by several players on every play, and yet he still stood out for so many years. Excellent player. There's no reason that I know of why he's not in the Hall of Fame. He deserves to have a bronze bust in Canton, and he should have had one decades ago.
Amen.
So, believe it or not, we are just about out of time. But before we, have to end it, tell everybody how people can find your books on Bill Bradley and the NFL 1970s.
Okay, you can get them all at the Amazon website or the Barnes & Noble website, and they're available in both regular paperback or on electronic version, Kindle.
Cool.
So Amazon and Barnes & Noble, that's the place to get them. And they make great holiday presents because of their rectangular shape. They're easy to gift wrap.
There you go. Well, Joe, hey, we certainly appreciate you stopping by again. Let's do it again as the season comes to an end.
Sounds great. I'm enjoying it, and I think you Eagles fans better get ready for a wild ride because you might have another Lombardi to put in the trophy case in a few more months.
I hope you're right.
We're hoping, man.
Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, Joe.
Same to you guys. Take care of yourselves.
All right. Hey, Chet, as we've been saying for recent weeks, Philly Pressbox Radio is now part of a new podcast network, the STT Sports Network, as in Set the Trends. I was actually a guest on that show this morning.
Yeah.
It's a network set up with our pal Phil Stiefel, host of the terrific Trending in the AM show that you can find every weekday morning on the SST Sports Network YouTube channel. check out Phil. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Phil's show is on there, and now so is ours. Yep, you can find Philly Pressbox Radio there in addition to our own YouTube channel and on our Facebook page. That hasn't changed. Again, it's the STT Sports Network, setting the trends for what sports talk should be. And Phil does a great
you did
job.
A fine job, Bill. I actually listened to you this morning on with Phil. You sounded like you knew what you were talking about. I was impressed.
Well, I think I can say we're on like our 520th show here at Philly Pressbox Radio. I've learned to fake it.
That's all you got to do.
Hey, tell us what's going on over at the Irish Rover Station House over this holiday weekend.
No need to fake it over at the Rover. They know what they're doing. The Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, Pennsylvania has happy hour specials, always 24 beers on tap, and Thursday through Sunday, dinner specials. I believe they are closed this Thursday for Thanksgiving. That has been the tradition in past years. But I do know that it's Black Friday on Friday, and they have their annual Black Friday gift card sale happening 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. You buy a $50 gift card, you get another $10 card thrown in. Then on December 3rd, well, they got something else going on. It is the holiday sip and shop event. That's in the evening. A number of local vendors will be there in the banquet room selling all sorts of great items ahead of the holidays. So that's a good time, too. And it has officially been announced the Irish Rovers Ugly Sweater Party is happening Thursday, December 19th, starting at 7 p.m. I'll be there. I got a new sweater ready to go. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. It always is. The Irish Rover Station House is located on Bellevue Avenue in Langhorne. Check the website, irishroverstationhouse.com. And now, Bill, we haven't seen this guy in a while, so let's go with Ray Diddy, if I can find him.
Hi, this is Ray Didinger, and it is always fun to talk sports with these two guys, Bill and Chet, on Philly Pressbox Radio.
Always good to see Ray Diddy.
It is.
It's almost time to get Ray back on because this Eagles team's on a roll.
Yeah, I'm working on that. We probably will have him on before the end of the year if all goes well, because he's bringing back Tommy and Me. It's going to be several weeks in January in
nice.
Malvern, PA somewhere. So we're going to have Ray on to talk about the Eagles postseason and another edition of Tommy and Me.
All right. Hey, we got to talk about the Sixers, Chet.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we do. They're 3-13. They're going nowhere. I got the answer.
All right, listen, I did my rant last week. I expressed not only my frustration with Joel Embiid, but with the entire Sixers organization for their lack of transparency about what's going on with Embiid and Paul George and everything else. There's just no excuse for that. The team, as you mentioned, is 3-13. They're already 10.5 games or whatever behind the Celtics. So for folks who missed Trending in the AM with you as a guest this morning, when you did talk about this, what is the solution for our 76ers?
The solution is shut down Joel Embiid. Shut him down. Pick a time, month, 6 weeks, whatever the magic number is, that he can come back and be healthy. Hopefully the guys that are playing can stay close enough to get close to the playoffs, get him back, and to save face, one, for Joel Embiid, and to save face for the Sixers organization. This night by night, injured, not injured, going to try to play, not going to play, don't know, it's got to stop. Because what you're going to do, and maybe it's already happened or it's happening, is they're going to lose the fan base. And then it really doesn't matter until they're win. Then they got to win, or people aren't going to go to the games. I just think when he has played, he hasn't played well. Rusty, hurt, whatever his deal is. Shut him down. Enough of this.
Oh, they've lost a lot of the fan base already, that's for sure. You can just see that by the social media comments and the fact that I noticed on Sunday when it had already been declared that Embiid was going to be out, you can get tickets for a Sixers home game on StubHub for $11 and $12.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And like I say, I think if you did shut him down, you say, hey, his knee is hurt, whatever injury it is today, his knee is hurt. Paul George is going to play because we're still nursing a bone bruise. My goodness, it's been 3-4 weeks for a bone bruise, playing every other night. Get him back, get Maxey back, They found a diamond so far. It looks like in the rookie. That's good. That's what we're going to run out there, and we're going to play as hard as we can with what we got, because we know we've watched this through decades. You and I, as old as we are,
yeah.
The one thing that will get you killed in Philadelphia is not playing your hardest. And if you can't do it, don't do it. Don't go out there.
I was listening to Sports Talk Radio today. I think it was 97.5, and the guy on there, Bill Colarulo, said the NBA power rankings, despite the Sixers' awful record, still have them listed as a 50% playoff possibility. So they're expecting them to somehow turn things around and at least get into the playoffs. Yeah, I'd be fine with shutting him down for at least, the next month or two. And if he's going to be healthy, great. If not, then it doesn't matter anyway.
Right. But from the organization standpoint, at some point you got to move on. You can't keep playing night to night. And as I said, Nick Nurse was just on the news at 6:20, and he looks like a lost soul. It's like he has no idea what's going on, and his comeback was, well, we're going to go out with what we have. We're going to play hard. Well, I hope so.
And there was a report today, I forget who, somebody pretty, connected who does a podcast, said the Sixers gave him that contract extension, even knowing that his knee was worse than what they were telling people. So that's just dumb.
Yeah, well, that again, that now you're getting into the next levels of the organization, and I think you said at the beginning that Daryl Morey's a missing man. Where's he at in this whole thing? I can't even think the last time I saw him.
Yeah, he's in hiding because he knows he's kind of a hated man right now, and what can he say? He can't say anything really to appease the fans unless he's going to come out and say, Embiid's going to be healthy in 1 week, and we think we're going to win the championship, and that's not the case.
Or say we're going to shut him down. And
that's what we'd like to see, because clearly he's not ready to play. I mean, he did have the 130-point game, and then he was done for the next couple of games. So it's just a horrible situation, Bill, and it makes me want to drink beer.
Well, let's talk about drinking some beer. How about that? You found someone to talk beer with us. Go figure. Tell us about Andrew Colligan of Conshohocken Brewing.
I've gotten to know Andrew a bit from my numerous visits to that great brewery's various tap rooms over the last couple of years, and I knew he'd be a great interview, and he came through as expected. Now, I have to share this interview in a way that I've never done it before, so God, I hope this works. Let's see. I got to go to this page, and I got to hit this. Who needs the beer? We've got just the guy to help. He works at Conshohocken Brewing Company, and he's something of a beer expert, in my opinion. It's Andrew Colligan. Hey, Andrew.
How are you? Beer aficionado. I don't know about beer expert, but
there you go. I love it. Hey, before we talk beer, how are you feeling about the 9-2 Eagles after that impressive win Sunday night out in Los Angeles?
That was pretty fantastic. I'll tell you what, obviously sad to see BG go down, being the spirit animal of the team, but they looked extremely impressive. Saquon, the offensive line, looked just dominant. So, hey, hopefully this is a foretelling of good things to come for the rest of the season.
For sure. All right, Andrew, the craft brewery industry surged in the 2010s, I guess, but if I'm not mistaken, it's kind of leveled off or even declined slightly over the last couple of years in terms of new breweries being open. What is the state of the craft industry today, do you think?
My go-to answer I tell everybody is there's a lot of headwind right now. So, craft beer going on this, we've been lucky enough to just now celebrate our 10-year anniversary this past year. The craft beer industry in 2024 is just very, very different than it was in 2014. And even going farther back, some of the local guys have really got their start way in the early 90s, like Victory Brewing Company and others in 96. And it's a very, very different time nowadays. And there's a lot more options, and especially a variety of different options when it comes to ready-to-drink cocktails and the surge of bourbon and brown liquors. And there's just a lot of choice. And, hey, luckily with craft beer drinkers, they tend to be extremely passionate and know and love certain brands, especially supporting their small local independent breweries like Conshohocken. So what we hope is that, there's going to be maybe a little bit of a streamlining, and hopefully the best guys and the guys make the best beer rise to the top over the next couple of years.
I know it's your 10th anniversary this past spring, because we started Philly Pressbox Radio right about the same time, the spring of 2014. So right about the same time you guys opened. So that's how I know we're right on the same kind of timeline there.
Rather serendipitous, yeah.
Yeah, Conshohocken Brewery has 4 tap rooms in the greater Philadelphia area, and you are the director of sales for the company. So what exactly does your job entail?
Head taster was already taken, unfortunately. So, so my main job, obviously being the sole salesperson, director of sales and marketing department, all the so on and so forth. So basically, my job is to not only hopefully focus and integrate and streamline the different beer offerings that we have from Conshohocken Brewing Company, especially out in our retail market, but also to work with our 6 wholesaler partners that we have across 3 states, basically most of southeastern PA, northeastern PA, all of Delaware, and the majority of South Jersey and New Jersey, and working with them along with, basically hand in hand with our 1,400 plus retail partners with, obviously bars and restaurants and grocery stores and beer distributors and liquor stores and all the great, fantastic partners, stadiums, all these guys about getting the freshest and best Conshohocken Brewing Company beer.
But one of my favorite things about your brewery is all the sports-related collaborations you do with your beers. Among them, Zooisms, featuring Mark Zumoff on there.
Yeah, that's a classic. Yeah, the first in the sports broadcaster series. So there you go. That's awesome. We still have
great artwork right there. Yeah. Of course, the Fransky and LA Golden Ale, another good one. And a personal favorite of mine, the Jonesy Hockey Lager, very tasty because I love a good lager. This one certainly qualifies. And hey, you've done a couple, if I'm not mistaken, Mike and Merrill beers. Is that right?
We did, yeah. So we're really lucky and proud to partner with, obviously Philadelphia and sports go hand in hand, and we think Philadelphia sports and beer, and obviously having Glenn Mack now being part of the brewery, just a fantastic partner in the business. We have some really fantastic relationships with a lot of our Philadelphia sports teams, and obviously the guys that have really put the voice and the spirit to a lot of these sports teams. So yes, you mentioned a couple of them. I do have Mike and Merrill's Philly Special Hazy IPA here, which obviously did with these great guys, Mike Quick and Merrill Reese. A really cool thing about all of these sports-themed beers, I always like to highlight, is every single one of them, actually a portion of the proceeds goes towards supporting charities. So Fransky LA's Bet Them at the Bank Golden Ale supports the Philadelphia Youth Sports Collaborative. Jonesy's Hockey Lager actually directly benefits Flyers charities. This one, Mike and Merrill supports the first tee of Greater Philadelphia, so supporting youth golf programs in and around the city. Both Mike and Merrill are pretty avid golfers and very good golfers, so that's kind of a cool thing there. And then the newest one, which we just came out with last month, the Great Sports Debate Amber Lager,
which I have signed by all 4 of the hosts.
How about that? Hopefully I didn't steal the lead or whatever.
No, you're good, man. You're good.
Cool thing about this one, it directly benefits CHOP, so supporting pediatric cancer research in and around Philadelphia. So, hey, great beers for a great cause, and obviously throwing back, we're supporting a lot of all of our great Philadelphia sports teams and some of the great guys behind them. So, and
because I can, I'm going to crack one of these open right now.
Oh, there you go. Well, I would say you're a little late to the party. I've already been starting with our best selling beer, Ring the Bell, our American lager. So, yeah, cheers to you.
Thank you. Regarding the Great Sports Debate, as a fan of that great TV show on Prism back in the day, I was really excited about this beer and that event, the reunion event, and the fact that before the launch party, I guess, they actually taped a new episode of the Great Sports Debate, which is available right now on NBC Sports Philadelphia. Check your local listings, as they say. So, yeah, I did crack one of these open. And like I said, I love the beer. And that was a fun night.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah. We, not to mention, obviously, having some really cool themed beers and some great charitable events. We try and make great tasting beer, too. So I think this one is maybe one of my favorites that we've had. Just really smooth and malty, roasty, easy drinking. And the launch event, just having Angelo and Al and Jason all out to get together and have some beers and just talk about all the good times they had, and some of the other fantastic local authors that came out and signed their books. It's just really a fantastic thing for us to be able to have these amazing beers that we can really throw some support behind a great local charity by bringing all these groups of guys together and doing some fun events like the one we did at Publisher's Kitchen and Tap.
And you mentioned Ring the Bell. That's a go-to at the ballpark for a lot of fans, I'm guessing.
100%. Yeah. So it's our number one selling beer, actually. So it just overtook our Type A IPA, which was previously the number one for about 7 years. Ring the Bell just this year overtook it. And a big part of that is our fantastic partnership with the Philadelphia Phillies and Citizens Bank Park. Not to mention, it's also available at the Wells Fargo Center and a significant number of local bar and restaurant partners, not to mention your favorite local beer distributor, your local supermarket as well. And a big reason for its growth this year, we actually introduced it for the first time ever in 12-ounce cans. So instead of our traditional 16-ounce, which has been basically the staple, the only package that we've sold, for many years from Conshohocken Brewing Company. You can now get our number one selling beer, Ring the Bell American Lager, in your local favorite spot to buy beer in 12 packs of 12-ounce cans. So cheers to that.
I got to tell you, I'm more of a warm weather guy overall, but one of the things I do like about the September through January months is the arrival of the various seasonal beers, Oktoberfest, pumpkin beers, and then the holiday and winter beers. So what are your favorite winter brews?
Yeah, that's a great question. I thought you were going to say for a second that you were a fan of warm beer, so I'm lucky.
Oh, no. Definitely not that.
I'll tell you what, a little bit of a mention of maybe not traditionally warm beer, but one of my favorites this time of year is our Puddler's Row. So it's available year-round from us, but it's one that especially in this time of year when it's a little bit starts to get a little bit chillier outside, malty, roasty, just smooth and easy drinking. This one actually went back-to-back silver medals for us at the World Beer Cup, one of our absolute favorites. Excuse me. You spoke a little bit about Jonesy's Hockey Lager before.
Yeah.
We actually just packaged this 2 weeks ago. It's now freshly released, available out in the market again for this year. So you're going to be able to find this at your local beer store all over the place. And of course, down during Flyers games at the Wells Fargo Center. And then from there, we do a whole bunch of fun ones. So we got some new fun, exciting releases coming out soon. I don't have the cans for them, unfortunately, just because they're so new. We haven't even packaged them yet. But very, very shortly, within the next 2 weeks, we're going to be packaging our Asher's Chocolate Imperial Stout that we do with the fine folks, Jeff Asher and family of Asher's Chocolate Company in Souderton. So that's going to be a nice, big, bold, 8% roasty, chocolatey Imperial Stout that we actually use their real chocolate and cocoa nibs directly in the beer. And then we're also going to, this is a fun little sneak peek. Just last week, we had the folks from Bassett's Ice Cream, one of our Philadelphia favorites, in-house to brew a beer. They're going to be releasing sometime in mid-December, which is going to be our Vanilla Ice Cream IPA or Ice Cream Pale Ale. So that one we're really, really excited about, on top of our other fantastic releases this time of year, like 2 Hour Delay, which is our Hazy Winter IPA. And then I did bring this one just because it's a fun one that is an extremely limited release, basically just in our 4 locations, available on our website through conchexpress.com to be delivered directly to your house. This is double MC5, so a nice big, bold double IPA version of our MC5, which is our most popular double dry hop hazy IPA. So
you mentioned Asher's. How did I miss the chocolate-covered orange porter that you did with those guys? That sounds great.
It was great. Yeah, and that was a quick in and out. And we were looking for something, not only is that just a classic combination of chocolate and orange, but we do try and make, one of the things you mentioned is the seasonality of beer, which is one of the best things about beer, right? I agree that maybe the volume maybe upticks a little bit when the weather's a little warmer outside, but just the seasonality of beer and being able to enjoy your favorite Nightmare on East Elm Street Pumpkin Ale or your Oktoberfest Marzen or a really fantastic chocolate orange porter going into the holidays and Thanksgiving and all the other times this year. It's just it's a very cool thing to be able to make. One of my favorite personal things about beer is just the fact that no matter the season, no matter the weather, no matter the circumstance or location or occasion, there's a perfect beer for everything. So.
Now, these aren't from your fine brewery, but a couple of my favorites this time of year. The 8 and Sands Holiday Hef. I'm a big Hefeweizen guy, so I really like this one a lot. Classic. And from Lansdale's Round Guys Brewing, Christmas in Hollis. It's nice. A tasty brown ale with cinnamon and vanilla. I highly recommend that one.
I like it. And that's a Run DMC throwback nod there, yeah. I believe. Yeah, that's awesome. Very, very cool.
Exactly. Hey, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that one of the owners of Conshohocken Brewery is a certain retired radio guy. You alluded to it earlier. He's also the social media face of the brewery, I believe, Glenn Mack now. We even see you occasionally on the show with Glenn. There you go. So that's pretty cool. What is it like working with the legendary Glenn Mack now?
It's great. Just the ability and just the camaraderie and friendship that we have together, working side by side in the brewery, and the fact that he has, these really, really cool opportunities, right? Just to be able to make this fantastic show on NBC Sports, What's Brewing PA. It is an opportunity for us to talk about beer and not just beer itself. One of the coolest things that I love about this job and the reason I've been, so in love with it for the last decade plus of me selling beer in and around Philadelphia is the camaraderie of the Philadelphia beer scene and all the people and different breweries around it. I know Glenn and Upcoming ever since we talk about the loss of Chris LaPierre from Iron Hill Brewery. The Philadelphia beer scene, they're just such a tightly knit community. It really feels like a lot more than just a job. It really is a really fantastic way for us to talk about just how amazing and how important beer is to the city of Philadelphia. And luckily, we're just maybe one of the very, very few breweries that has the opportunity just to talk about that live on camera and support and promote all these fantastic local breweries and beer partners and restaurants and bars and beer distributors. It's a really, really wonderful thing that we can talk about this and really just express how important beer is to us. And working with Glenn on it's a really amazing thing. It's something I'm very proud to do.
I want to mention something else about you, a little personal news. 1 month ago, a new addition to the family.
How about that? Where'd you get that from?
About your new addition. Tell us.
Yeah, my wife, Lauren, and I were very, very lucky to be able to welcome our second daughter. So Mason, who is now 4, is a big sister, and her little sister, Thea, was joined us just about a month ago. So, yeah, we're a very proud, happy family, and I am outnumbered, to say the least, when it comes to the ladies, but we couldn't be happier. She's just absolutely amazing. Not sleeping as much as we'd like, but eating more than I think we ever could have expected. So she's doing great.
I got to say, you look even happier there than when I see you with a beer in your hand, Andrew.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if there's in a perfect world, I have the kids in one and a beer in the other hand, but hey, my family is very important to me, and nothing ever comes before family. That's the most important thing out there. So.
Well, Andrew, we're talking on Thanksgiving week, a couple of days ahead of the big holiday.
Yeah.
Will you enjoy a couple of cold ones, perhaps on Turkey Day? And if so, what's your likely brew going to be that day?
That's an excellent question. So this year's going to be a little bit different, just partially because I do have a 1-month-old. But
right.
Previous years, I've fried a turkey every single year for the last couple of years. I'm doing it for a while. And for a couple of those years, I actually did home brewed a beer while also frying a turkey, which I found to be just way too much to try and bite off and do at the same exact time one day. So I have since, unfortunately, not done the home brewing on Thanksgiving. But yeah, I got some really, really fantastic beers at the house I'm going to be enjoy. I was lucky enough to go to Germany earlier this year in April into May. So I still have a couple of beers. Peter's Kolsch comes to mind, and from my favorite brewery in the world, Ondex Monastery Brewery outside of Munich there. I got a couple of those left, and I think there's a good chance that they're going to be cracked open on Thanksgiving. So
excellent. Hey, folks, check out the various Conshohocken Brewing Company locations. Good beers, good people, and always a good time based on my experience anyway. And hey, you just might run into this guy while there. Andrew, thanks so much for doing this.
Hey, Chet, I really appreciate you having me, and thanks for all the support of local brewing companies, especially of us, of Conshohocken Brewing Company. So it's very much appreciated.
Again, cheers.
Cheers to you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Cheers. Good stuff. Yeah, that was good.
Great. He was great. Love talking to Andrew.
And and you had yours picked out for the other night when we were up there, and I ended up with the Ring the Bell, which I liked a lot. That was good. More my style than that heavy kind of thing that you like, but yeah, it was good. He
one of our viewers was asking about the locations. Mike, they have locations in Conshohocken, Bridgeport, King of Prussia, and Phoenixville. So they have 4 different tap rooms.
Right. And Kid asked about, do they have any non-alcohol drinks?
That I'm not sure of.
Yeah, man, we'll look into that and see what we can find out. Good stuff, though. Good, interesting interview.
Yeah, Mike's gonna get there. Hey, take that away because I want to show you something else right here.
I didn't put that there, did I? But I'll take it.
I don't know. I didn't. Listen, he mentioned Glenn Macnow. We think very highly of Glenn Macnow, all of us, of course. He's been on our show 8 times, right? Well, I got a bone to pick with Glenn because the other day he posted, or I guess reposted, something that he had put up on Facebook 5 years ago, right before Thanksgiving.
I saw that.
It's this. He ranked traditional Thanksgiving foods, stuffing in the correct spot at number 1, followed by dark meat turkey, mashed potatoes, light meat turkey. That's all fine. But way, 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 way down at the bottom, in his mind, number 2,746 to be precise, green bean casserole.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't get that.
Green bean casserole is delicious.
I don't get that. I saw where you gave him the business about that. Did he respond to you?
He did. He just went, eh.
Not his favorite.
I'm a fan. My both my mother-in-law and my wife both make a nice green bean casserole. I think it's delicious. So sorry, Glenn, we disagree on that.
Well, speaking of eating and drinking, tell us what's going on with the best tailgaters in Philadelphia. They were just out in L.A. and threw a big big shindig, I think. Bob Cavanaugh and the gang at Cavs Philly Tailgates.
That's what they do, Bill. Cavs Philly Tailgates has been cooking up a terrific catering business for more than 30 years. You know them for their tailgate parties. Cavs is a 3-time winner of Philly Tailgate's Jack Daniels Great American Tailgate Party Contest and a past winner of the Philly Daily News Tailgate Award. Cavs also does corporate events and parties, you name it. Cav hosts tailgates before all of the Birds' home games at the Link. There's some of the upcoming games, the Panthers, the Steelers, and the Dallas Cowboys. There will be tailgates cooked up by Cav before those games. And you can email Cav for more information, cavscatering@verizon.net. Cavs Philly Tailgates is the way to go. Check the website, phillytailgates.com. And as far as those road games, Bill, well, yeah, Cav works with the guys at Philly Sports Trips, and they do have trips to all the Eagles road games and other events like Philly Spring Training in March. So get all the details on them at phillysportstrips.com.
All right, Jet. Hey, let's talk Flyers for a minute. They continue to battle. They split games this week before they got to last night. They faced the first place Vegas Golden Knights, played fantastic for a period and a half. Not so good for the next period and a half, blew a 3-0 lead, played great in the overtime, did everything except score, and then lose in the shootout. So the battle continues. Another goal for Matvei Michkov. He's as good as advertised and only going to get better. But couldn't get the 2 points, got one against the first place Knights.
I'll tell you, losing that one to Vegas hurt. The Flyers had a 3-0 lead, 4-3 lead midway through the third period. Played terrific in the overtime session. They had a 2-minute power play, had oodles of chances, just couldn't put the puck in the net. They're certainly playing hard, though, and I think they are quietly making some strides. Great games last night by both Ruotsalainen and Morgan Frost. He had a very solid game. And, yeah, another goal for Michkov. So I think things are looking up. They might not make the playoffs, but I do think they are getting better. And once they get Ersan back, I think they'll be even better. Any word on him? I haven't heard how long he might be out.
Still, got that body injury thing that they don't ever tell you anything about.
They're like the Sixers. They don't provide all the information you want.
Right. All right, let's get to our weekly picks. We're getting a little better as we go, as the season moves along. What do we got for our standings this week?
Well, Bill, you asked that because you know that you did have a very, very good week. Boop and I, let's see, Boop was 2-3, as a matter of fact. I was 3-2, but you, Bill, you were 4-1. So you are now back in first place at 36-19, a game ahead of Boop. He had been up a game. Now he's a game back. I'm 7 back now instead of 6 back. So still a long way to go, but you and Boop trading places at the top. I'm kind of hanging down in the bottom.
Stinking Washington. They cost me a game here, and then they cost me bad in the margin of victory.
Yeah, we'll get to that. And, another thing, Boop and I both last week picked San Francisco. You were on the right side of that one, picking Green Bay. Neither Boop and I don't think, knew that Brock Purdy was doubtful and eventually ruled out. And by agreement, we are not allowed to change our picks after our Wednesday, or in this case, Tuesday show.
Yeah,
so
I didn't know. I didn't know he wasn't playing either. I just thought the Packers were going to win at home anyway. But yeah.
So in my other pools, I, of course, picked the Packers and got it right. But we had to stick to San Francisco. We lost fair and square. That's the way it goes.
All right. So we don't have Boop Live, Bob Patron Jr. with us, but we have his picks. So here we go. We've added 2 games. Thursday, Thanksgiving night, Miami at Green Bay. The Packers are -3. And then Sunday, Arizona at Minnesota, we added the Vikings are -3.5. So let's start out with the Thursday night, Miami at Green Bay, Packers -3.
Oh, Boop's picks. I have them printed out here. Did not look at them. Boop says Green Bay is gliding along as quiet an 8-3 team as you get in the NFL, but I smell an upset here. Oh, Boop is picking the Dolphins to win at Lambeau. I am not. I'm sticking with the Pack.
Yeah, Boop must have been on the stool when he made that, the bar stool when he made that pick. I'm going Green Bay. All right, let's jump over and get over to Sunday, Arizona at Minnesota. The Vikings are -3.5.
All right, Boop says that overtime escape against the Bears completed an undefeated November for Minnie. He likes them again this weekend. The Vikings to win that one. I'm going to also go with Mini.
Yeah, I am too, but I'm kind of anxious to see how that game plays out, because if Arizona does win that game, then they're probably for real, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced yet, but they're winning. They're playing good ball. All right, back to Thursday. Giants at the Cowboys. Dallas is -4.
Yeah, everybody's excited about this one, Bill. Thanksgiving gathered around the TV to watch two awful teams.
It'll be a good time for that.
Oh, my goodness. Giants at Cowboys. Boop says this might be a Dallas letdown game if it wasn't on Thanksgiving and against the division rival. I don't know if that even matters. His pick is the Cowboys. Yeah, I'm going to go with the hometown Cowboys also.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. The Giants, Tommy DeVito apparently is nicked up now, and well, they don't know whether he's going to be able to go, but not that it should matter. The Giants are a franchise in big trouble. What do we got? Tennessee at Washington. The Commanders -5.5. I'm mad at the Commanders.
I know you are. We'll get to that. Boop says Tennessee will pay for Washington's recent stumbles. His pick is the Commanders. Yeah, I think Washington bounces back also because they want to make the playoffs. They're starting to, get on the edge of that.
Yeah. I'm going to go Washington, but I said this last week, I think, when we were talking about them playing the Eagles, that I think they're playing over their head. I think reality's coming for them, and I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee wins this game, but I'm going to take Washington since they're at home. Eagles are traveling to Baltimore. It's a -3 for Baltimore, so the Eagles are dogs going into 4:00 game, 4:15 game on Sunday afternoon.
Yep. Boop says the two quarterbacks have combined to generate 54 touchdowns this season. Could be a classic. His pick, though, is the Eagles. Bill, I don't know why. I just have a hunch this is where it ends for the Eagles win streak. I have Baltimore winning 27-24, matching that 3-point spread.
I'm going to go Eagles just because I just think they're playing so well on the defensive side of the ball, and they're going to have to with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. But they're playing just so well on the defense, and so I'm going to stick with them. I don't know that we're going to see the offensive fireworks that we've seen from them, but I think this is a good game that you could never know. You might see down the road again.
Yeah, you never know. I hope I'm wrong, of course. I picked Baltimore, but I hope I'm wrong. I'm rooting against myself.
There you go.
Hey, speaking of Boop, a reminder to check out his website where you can get the daily listings of TV sports of interest and all sorts of other fun stuff. That website, sponsored by Chick's Deli in Cherry Hill, is boopstats.com. Bill, we're going to get to the margin of victory pool. As people know, it's kind of like a survivor pool, but you don't get eliminated if your a surefire pick loses. You do get points if that one surefire pick wins, the points equating to the, margin of victory. And week 12 was not great for any of us, but especially for you, Bill, because as you noted, you picked the Commanders, who lost to the stinking Cowboys. So no points for you. No points. Boop and I each picked the Chiefs, and they did eke out a 3-point win over the awful Carolina Panthers. So we at least added 3 points each, Boop and I. The standings, I'm still atop, 157, looking for a second straight title, Bill. You're in second, but your lead is now just 7 points over Boop.
Yep. All right. So who you have this week?
Let's see. What do I have for Boop, first of all? Boop has the Tampa Bay Bucks beating those Panthers. So he's got Tampa Bay. I'm taking Buffalo to beat San Francisco.
And I've got Tampa Bay. That was my pick as well.
I think the Bills are for real. They're coming off a bye. San Francisco not real healthy yet. With or without Purdy, I think Buffalo wins this one.
Purdy is not playing.
He's not?
He is not playing.
A lot of points for me then. I like it.
We'll see. All right. A couple great guests tonight, Joe Zagorski and Andrew Colligan. Who's coming to Philly Pressbox Radio next week?
Well, Bill, I'm glad you asked me that. And I have a picture of the guy somewhere. So just one guest. We have one guest next week. That's good. We're going to have more time to talk next week, you and me. We are back in our regular Wednesday, 7 p.m. time slot next week, and we will be joined by a Channel 17 producer and the host of the Philly Sports Convo podcast, Jason Lee, who was kind enough to have me on that show last week. I don't know why, but he had me on, so that was kind of nice. He'll be making his second visit to our show. The other time he was on was just over a year ago. It was a week that you were off, Bill, so you didn't get to meet him, but you will next week. He's going to be on live with us next week, 7 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday, talking about the Philly sports scene.
Okay, so I have to ask, are you going to play the clip from when you were on there when he put you up there with all those really important people?
Well, I brought that up. I said, he's had Mike Missinelli, Angelo Cataldi, Chris Wheeler, a whole bunch of other, semi.
Jim Chesko.
What the hell am I doing here? He said, no, you're worth it, Chet. I said, okay.
I heard that. I was hoping I don't have to hear it again.
Hey, I want to mention something else, Bill. I feel kind of bad about something.
Oh.
I first met Brandon Graham late in his rookie season. It was on a Friday night before a late season game. He ends up getting hurt and lost for the season. That was early December of 2010, Brandon's rookie season. You can see the picture of him there. That was at Chickies and Pete's in South Philly. It was an event that Mike Barnes was doing for one of his charities at the time. Well, I met Brandon again last weekend over at an event at Ashley Furniture. The next game, Brandon Graham suffers a season-ending injury. So I am taking responsibility for Brandon Graham going down.
Yeah, I was going to ask you as we closed out here, what was your biggest takeaway from that Eagles game? Because obviously Saquon Barkley, but the loss of Brandon Graham is a big loss on the field. I think they'll still have the leadership. He's going to be there chirping, doing his thing, preparing and all that because that's what he does. Yeah. But he probably played the best game that he's played in years.
Yeah,
or maybe ever.
Played a great game. Yeah.
A
sack and a half, a couple of tackles for loss. He was all over the place, and then he announces after the game that he tore his triceps and is done for the season, maybe for his career. We don't know for sure if he's going to come back or not, but he had planned this to be his last year, so we shall see. Big loss, great guy. They will miss him because that's one of the few spots that they are actually kind of weak, edge rusher. So they're going to expect more now from Nolan Smith. Josh Sweat has been having a good year. They're going to have Teron Jackson, I guess, activated off the practice squad, and they signed some other guy today. And
Huff is going to have to come back and play. He's going to have to be good.
He's out for the next 3 games. He's on IR, so yeah.
But they're going to need him down the stretch, and he's going to have to produce like they thought he would when they got him here. But I will say this.
Penn State. We got to talk Penn State for a minute.
I got to say one more thing about Brandon Graham.
Go ahead.
For a guy that when he was through was about his first 5 years, it looked like he wasn't going to cut it in the league. And talk about a guy that turned it up and really became a pro's pro here in Philadelphia. Shout out to Brandon Graham. All right, Penn State. We knew they were going to have their hands full with Minnesota, and they certainly did. But they, instead of making the plays to not win the game, they made the plays to win the game. Something we haven't seen a lot from James Franklin's teams in big games. You and Bob Angelo got to watch that game together.
What a fun game. I mean, nerve-wracking, but fun. Yeah, PSU did what needed to be done to get the win. Even that terrific, successful fake punt that preserved the lead late in the game. Great time hanging with Bob Angelo. He is a rabid PSU fan. We were at a PJ Wheelahan's. He's yelling at the TV. We're sitting at the bar. I was a little embarrassed, but he had warned me ahead of time. He says, I can get kind of loud watching a Penn State game. I said, hey, whatever. But it was a blast. We had a good time, stayed for the whole game. So, yeah, Penn State now 10-1 with what should be a cakewalk against Maryland this weekend. Penn State a 24.5-point favorite on Saturday.
Take care of business. That's just take care of business and go from there. And December 20th or 21st, it's Friday or Saturday, depending on when the schedule comes out. They're going to be hosting a game at Beaver Stadium either on Friday night or Saturday. It's going to be chilly up there, friend.
Yeah, a couple of projections have them facing Indiana at Happy Valley, and then the winner, could face off with either Oregon or Ohio State, in the follow-up game, depending on how things are.
Well, every week that changes. Matter of fact, it came out again tonight while we were on the air. Is the newest ranking. So it's probably different than when we started here at 7 o'clock. All right. Anything else before we wrap it?
That is it. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Absolutely. Happy Thanksgiving. Let's thank tonight's special guests, Joe Zagorski and Andrew Colligan. Our sponsors, the Irish Rover Station House, Cavs Philly Tailgates, and PPCC 118 Raz Room. For Jim Chet Chesko, this is Bill Furman. We hope you enjoyed the show and we'll join Philly Press Box Radio next Wednesday, December the 4th already, Chet.
Yeah.
At 7 p.m. You can see us live on Facebook, on our Philly Press Box Radio YouTube channel, and on the STT Network YouTube channel. Listen on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadios, and all the others. Happy Thanksgiving. High hopes, Philadelphia sports fans, and go Birds.
Let's do the song. Come on.
Come on. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fly, Eagles, fly. On the road to victory.